All right, everybody. So I think that looks like we've got a lot of people logging on right now. So if we want to go ahead and get started, I'll kind of kick us off. So my name is Veronica Shornack, and I'm here at Bernalillo County in New Mexico. We are going to talk about today, so this is our first performance team meeting. So we're going to talk about getting others to understand performance management, so a little bit around performance training. I have Wydale Holmes from Tempe, Arizona, and Rafael Baptista from Raleigh, North Carolina, who are going to share with us what they do at in their organization. So I have a couple slides that I'm going to go through, and then I'll pass it off to them. We've got some polling questions and then some kind of next steps or follow-up questions that I'll ask you guys about towards the end. We have spots in here for questions, so if you want to add them into that chat panel, we can do that. Or when we get to the question slide, if you want to just pipe in and ask over the phone, you're more than welcome to do that too. So kind of just went over the agenda a little bit. So this is kind of what our goal is for this group. We wanted to bring together different cities and counties from around the United States to kind of talk about their performance management program, lessons learned, share information about strategic planning, process improvement, or benchmarking. If you guys are wondering how we found you, we do a lot of research over here at Bernalillo County, and a lot of the groups that we look at are winners of the special recognition for performance management from GFOA, or they're members of ICMA and they've won the certificates in performance management, mostly from the Southwest region. And then I think the word got out, and I've gotten asked from a lot of other people if they can join our team, which is really exciting, and I feel very popular and super cool. So that's how we kind of found you guys. If you have anybody else who would be interested, please feel free to forward it. The group is not private. I just kind of wanted to make sure that I was targeting individuals who I know are interested in performance management, hence the GFOA winners or the ICMA winners. From there, the meeting setup. So I'm hoping we'll do these meetings kind of quarterly or annually, depending on everybody's schedules and what works best for them. So if you guys do have any comments on that, feel free to email me separately. And then also presenters, I'm hoping to get 2 to 4 of you guys to present every time, so we really just get an understanding of like how everybody else works. I would love to talk about every single one of these topics, but I'm not an expert, and I think you guys may get a little bored listening to me talk the whole time. So with that being said, I'm going to continue on. So I may not do this every single time, but I kind of wanted to give everybody an opportunity to tell us a little bit about their organization as well as a little bit about their role in the performance management process. So I'll go ahead here at Bernalillo, we'll kick it off, and then if you want to go down the line, and I apologize, Arapaho, I know that you guys are not in New Mexico, you're in Colorado, and I just realized that on this slide. So I'm going to let my boss, Maria, kick us off and tell us a little bit about our program.
Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. So I have a flip chart, but I think the eagle's in there. Oh, no, it's like the, yeah. Hopefully you use it.
Alrighty. Hi, everyone. This is Maria Zuniga. I've got my amazing team here with me, which includes Veronica, who's hosting this whole thing. Angela and Laurel are also here with me. So just to tell you a little bit about our group, we just got our department, little department. This is our whole department in the room here, but we got our area renamed. We're called Operations Excellence Office. We work with county elected officials, department heads, everyone pretty much throughout the county on the strategic plan and performance management, and we're just rolling into some new stuff here with process improvement. So we got another position approved, so we're about to take off on that venture. So we're super excited to, be, hosting this group and get to make some contacts and really learn from each other. I know that's like something I'm a big believer in is, we've gotten help from so many of you when we were starting, and, as we change and evolve throughout the years, that it's just nice to have those resources going forward and to give back too. So.
Alrighty, so Albuquerque, New Mexico. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your program?
Sure. Hi, this is Haley Kadish, and I am the Performance and Innovation Officer for the city. I've been in this role for about a year, and it was a brand new position, so I'm sort of kind of shaping it as I go. I've been a one-woman shop until now, but in the next budget, I'm getting 2 positions, so I'm very excited about kind of that new capacity. Let's see, so most of the role has been focused on process improvement, and so that's what those 2 new positions are going to sort of carry forward, working with departments to improve processes. And then I think that's going to give me sort of the opportunity to step back and do some more citywide, looking at like performance management and that kind of thing, some of these bigger citywide things. But we're very much at the beginning of this whole endeavor.
Awesome. Thank you. Arapahoe?
Arvada.
Oh, awesome.
This is Barb Morgan. I'm with the City of Arvada, and I'm the administrative analyst in the city manager's office here. I support the city's efforts in both performance management and process improvement. My role in both really continues to evolve, and so I have to say I'm honored to be included in this conversation and participate on this team, so thank you for the invitation. My role in process improvement really includes total team coordination. We're a team of 9, and facilitating process improvement events, which includes, all logistics, the framework, communication, just building those relationships, and then tracking projects in ClearPoint, which is our performance management software. And then a large part of my performance management role includes my work in ClearPoint, which means that I will work with individuals throughout the organization to provide some ClearPoint training, assist with creating performance measures, and assisting the leadership team with our City Council strategic results and their action initiative plans. I'm currently serving on a team. We really just began work on an action initiative plan around performance management. So we're really going to be sharing with the organization more about, the why behind performance management, some ClearPoint training. We're going to create some data analysis training and offer that through Arvada University, which is a great program through our organizational development area, and then really talking about performance management terminology and standardizing that across the board, and really creating and instilling the performance management and accountability standards. So it's a very large project, but kind of just goes hand in hand with our journey to excellence, and I'm excited about all this work and all of the great things I'll learn from all of you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing with us. El Paso, Texas, are you on the phone? Okay, Fort Collins, are you on the phone?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. My name's Claire Cherney, and I'm with the City of Fort Collins, and there are 3 of us here in the budget department that actually handle, I would call, the strategic planning and performance management side, and then we have 2 actually lean people that handle the continuous improvement. So we have pretty much everything in the same house. There's 5 of us. And what we've been doing over the past, I would say 7 budget cycles, is we also use ClearPoint to track our measures, and also we've added tracking our actual BFO budget offers to see how they're doing, and just kind of continuing the best way to report that in-house. And then eventually what we're thinking, like we have an outward-facing website for the measures that are important to the community at large, also developing a website that shows these strategic measures and initiatives. So that's kind of what we're working on next, is how much data and the best data to push out into the city and anybody else that wants to see it as well.
Okay, very cool. Can I get Gilbert, Arizona?
Hello, I'm sorry. This is Roman from the City of El Paso. We were on mute, so we couldn't get in quickly enough.
Oh, no worries. All right, let's hear from you guys.
So I'm Roman Sanchez from the City of El Paso. My counterpart, Julie Baldwin-Munoz, will probably be joining shortly here. She's running across downtown to come to City Hall. So we're City of El Paso. We have a performance office, and all of that performance office is kind of moved into two pieces. One is the strategic planning piece, and the other one is the process improvement piece. But through our journey and learning, we've quickly realized that both of those need to be married so they work hand in hand. So it's an office of two people. However, we manage close to around 60 cross-functional teams throughout the city, made up of various levels within our organization. We also have an in-house program which measures our goals, our KPIs, and gathers that data so we can know where we need to focus our strategy on, and also to take a look at to support our integrated budget process, how we move forward with that. On the process improvement side, we're an organization that utilizes the Lean Six Sigma methodology to do that. So within our organization, we have embedded green belts and white belts who work on various projects. So we've been doing that for about 4.5 years now. I think within that time, we recognized between cost savings and cost avoided about $38.4 million. So that's going well as well. And also for as an organization as a whole, we utilize the Malcolm Baldrige framework as part of our quality journey as well.
All righty, awesome. Okay, who's next? Gunnison County? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
No, you pronounced it right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Catherine Haas, and I'm the Assistant to the County Manager here in Gunnison County. And we started our performance management efforts back in 2008 with the creation of our countywide plan, and then we followed up by creating a strategic business plan for all of our 17 departments with the help of a consultant. It's just me. We don't have a performance office. It's just me. It's one of my additional duties. So we are a little stretched thin, a little taxed, but we've managed to win the Excellence Award from ICMA for the last 2 years, so that's something. And see, our efforts, we have the county plan, we have the department plans, and then we align all the way down to our individual employee performance evaluations, which is hard to find in other places. I'd be really interested in learning how that's working for other people, but I haven't found many yet that are doing that. We do have an online portal for our data collection and analysis, and we'll be upgrading that portal sometime, hopefully, this year.
Awesome. Okay. Las Cruces, are you guys on the line? Okay, Oklahoma City?
Hi, yeah, this is Doug Dowler. I'm the budget director here at the city, and with me is Lori Hurd, who's a budget specialist over our performance area. We've been we've been in charge of performance management here in the budget office since about '07, and we have 5 analysts, but they really split their time among budget work as well as performance management stuff. Lori really is fully devoted to performance management. We're using a software that was developed by our own IT department. We're getting ready to go for an RFP out, and not to give a spoiler here, but I'm curious as to what other folks are using as their software to track performance, because ours is not working for us and we need something new. And so just curious how things are working for other folks. So that's just a little bit about what we do here.
Alrighty, awesome, thank you. Olis, Kansas, are you guys on the line?
Hi, Veronica. It's pronounced Olathe, but
oh, thank you.
hey, that's okay. But yeah, hi everyone. My name is Ed Foley, and I oversee the performance management efforts for our city. I'm a part of the management and budget services area. We put a ton of emphasis on data here as an organization. It's one of the sort of the top 3 pillars that our city manager will reference to every new employee orientation group. So having that kind of support has been a tremendous benefit. over the 7 years that I've been here with the city, we put a big emphasis toward ensuring that we're delivering to our citizens what they are desiring. And so we measure a statistically valid sample of all of our citizen satisfaction every quarter. So every 3 months, we are continuing to check the pulse of that. And so I'm glad, that's the thing that I signed up for to share at a future meeting. We do have a public-facing dashboard that I oversee, and I have a performance management user group internally that has representatives from all of our departments, and that's just a huge, huge factor to anything that we achieve or we accomplish as far as our data and analytics and performance efforts. It's having those folks in those different departments and their support and really providing that context that's a big difference maker for us. So I'm just really happy to be a part of the group. Thank you for organizing it. And I'll say one last quick thing. I also have my hand in kind of the innovation space, and we're very big into the Alliance for Innovation. And there is a benchmarking performance data group, and I mentioned to them that this group was just getting started, and they were kind of interested in maybe potentially connecting in with you all on some of that. So more to come if that does go anywhere.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Keep us posted.
Hi there. This is Wydell from Tempe. And Ed, I am part of that Valley Benchmark City with the Alliance for Innovation.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
I would be happy to help us connect with the group.
Super.
Alrighty. Have I missed anybody? I think I'll just let Wydell and Raphael introduce themselves when they get to their presentations, but is there anybody else on the line who hasn't introduced themselves? Okay, so we will move on. And I will pass this to you, Wydell. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here today. Really want to thank Veronica and Maria for putting all this together and for having that foresight. We are not experts, but we have done a lot of experimentation, so I hope you're able to have at least a couple takeaways from the next 10 minutes or so that I'll present. On your slide here, you see Tempe, Arizona, which we are in the desert, even though there's a lake here. This is a man-made lake that was an innovation project from the 1960s at Arizona State University. And basically, we took a dry riverbed and created 2 dams, and the dams are deflatable so that when the river is running, we can have the water run through. But this has been an economic engine for us in regards to development along the lake, as well as creating a lot of community quality of life outlets such as paddleboarding, Ironman, triathlons, things like that. So I'm just always proud to share this because this is the environment that I get to work in, and it's really a privilege for us to do that. It's also a great place to visit when it gets really cold. So getting others to understand, I've kind of framed this for you in regards to how Tempe is looking at it. We know that people across our organization and our community will step into performance management in different ways, and they'll come out, we would like to meet them where they are. So we don't really have a linear progression in regards to you must do 1 before you do 2, but there are 5 entry points that I wanted to highlight for you that you might consider for your organization. The first one is facilitation, and this is where participants would be experiencing strategic planning and performance management. We, as an office, we're an office of basically 3 people. We were established 3 years ago, and we provide internal consulting and facilitation. And we usually start with visioning and purpose statements, doing, the traditional SWOT analysis. But at this point, we are looking at how does everything align to our council priorities and having strategy sessions that we help to facilitate. So one employee might experience performance management just from this angle alone, in any given month. but they may also be preparing a council memo that they have to tie to a performance measure and to a strategic priority. So it's important that they experience it as well as then move on into doing this. So the facilitation can be anywhere from 4 hours to 16 hours. We try to customize it for each department and work team. We've done this for our city council. We've brought in consultants, but what we've found is that you really need to have the continuing championship from a particular area in the department. The city manager, you know, is our formal champion, but really moving forward everything day to day, putting the gas back in the tank, as we say, that's something that is really needed by a team. So we have a facilitation team of about 2 people that will do this for a total of 3 on our team right now. We also then go into some formalized training where we try to, you know, do our knowledge transfer. We have a General Strategic Management 101 course that we offer to all employees, and we start to build that into other opportunities that we have in our learning and education. But we also will customize this course. For example, we don't just teach the course from a general standpoint when we're able to kind of do a customized version of it, say for our firefighters and our fire department leadership. So we would really start to tie in what's the meaning to them, what's in it for them type of messaging when it comes to this type of training. We also will incorporate into new employee orientation, and so I'm really appreciative of who said earlier in regards to their city manager, I think it was Olathe, that it's always a talking point for the city manager. And then we also have a program called Tempe Accelerates, and I'll talk a little bit about that a little later because we do some pre-coaching before we have a Tempe Accelerate session. So our consulting and coaching involves senior management and what we call our department or team owners of performance measures. In our strategic plan, other than identifying fire and police for clarity of measure, we do not identify any particular department because we see this as a collective effort across the whole city in accomplishing these goals and these priorities for our community. We do have an internal document just for function and organization, but we have so many collaborative teams that we really wanted to send the message that it's, you know, all ships rise when we're all working towards the same goals. But in our consulting and coaching, we work and do research and development on performance measures that start to operationalize our council's priorities. We develop worksheets and job aids to help people start really thinking and organizing around their communication and narrative of this measure, why it really matters, as well as the strategies that they would like to deploy or have already deployed towards that measure. Not everything is new and shiny. Some of the things we need to keep doing and other things we need to not do. But having a strategic plan and these really clear priorities have allowed us that culture of being able to say yes to other things while we also can say no to some things that are more traditional or that have had a lot of political sponsorship. So it's really allowed us to have those real talk type of conversations and make those real decisions. We also do strategy coaching for each of these teams that own the performance measures, and then we do guided pre-accelerate sessions. Again, I will get to that in a moment. So again, the consulting and coaching is still part of a learning process. It's a safe place for people to learn as well as to do some experimentation. We never pretend that we get it right the first time. In fact, we always anticipate many iterations beyond what we first started off with. Now we get into some doing, which is really tying our performance-led budgeting with our council priorities. We have 5 strategic priorities and over 100 basically, or at least 100 performance measures. Some of these could be bundled for cross-cutting themes, but what this has allowed us to do is create capital and operating budgets that align directly to strategic priorities through their performance measures. So for example, on the left-hand side there, you'll see that the council, we start early in the budget process and we provide them basically, you know, $100, and they have a tool, and it's a strategy tool for aligning resources for Tempe. And we'd like to hear back from them, out of the 100 performance measures, what are the key priorities that you would like us to focus on from a resource level? Because our resources are really a reflection of our values and our priorities. And so we give council an opportunity, and they've asked for this opportunity, so we created this tool where they can allocate their dollars or their votes, if you will, but then we gather all that information, and it's just one piece or one slice of the decision-making process to allocate resources and to accelerate and advance performance measures. When we have those 100 or so narrowed down to maybe 10 to 14, we then go back to the departments and we ask them to put together, and we coach them on creating acceleration models. So for example, if you had $500,000 more in the next 2 years, how much would that affect our pavement quality index measures? And would it really move the needle? Or would we rather utilize that $500,000 to have a greater impact someplace else? So it allows the council to start looking at the what-ifs and the consequences and the benefits of the decisions that they make. We also utilize and align innovation funds, supplementals, and our gaming grant funds with our performance measures. So this has really changed our budget process from we need resources, so let's attach goals to them, to what are our goals and our priorities, and let's align our resources to those. And I know that seems very easy to say, but I know it's hard to do for organizations because we know that we've typically backed into goals when there hasn't been kind of that universal approach to having specific goals or performance measures that you're trying to achieve. And again, we come at this at different stages, and you know, each organization will be different. So we kind of meet them where they are, and then the process is able to evolve around where they are in the learning process and then the experiencing process, and then we're actually having people doing performance management. And then the fifth avenue to get into performance management for our employees and our teams is to actually do the applied work. So I've been promising that I'll talk to you about Tempe Accelerates, and what this is a community and employee strategy session where we put a hyper focus on a performance measure, and we're able to take a little bit of a deep dive into why it even matters, where are we at with the measure, what's our target, what's our benchmark. We do always third-party benchmarks. We don't try to just do better than ourselves from previous years. So we're really looking at what's the best industry standard, or what is the goal based on not just industry standard, or based on top 10% cities in the nation, for example. So this session, we actually have one this afternoon on the performance measures are on poverty as well as housing affordability. And so the presenters will get coached by us at a pre-session, and we've created templates and job aids for this type of thing, but they're really able to then share their work across the city. They bring in community partners that are key to their strategies who will also present, and our employees and our community are able to, you know, say, hey, I've been to Europe, they're trying this, have you tried this? Or a lot of times another department will say, boy, we didn't know you were working on this. We have this thing that we're doing that we think would complement this, or that might detract from reaching this goal. So it's truly a collaborative communication strategy session. We've also put performance measures and data-driven results into our request for proposals. We started a technology and innovation steering committee, and this helped us with our open data policy and open data governance, as well as prioritizing technology, again, a huge resource for us as a city to align to performance measures. And then we have a public-facing performance portal where we have all of our 5 council strategic priorities along with their related performance measures. And this also is linked and fed through our open data portal. So our open data portal and our performance measure portal were developed alongside each other, and we've had a lot of lessons learned in that process. But I know our chief data scientist would be very excited for me to share that we have over 150 data sets already published within 3 years. And now our next destination for that is to keep up with the relevancy and publication and access to that data. we take the default that everything's open to the public unless it's gone through a process of, say, for example, personally identifying information, things that were not or that were legally prohibited from disclosing. So our council was very brave and courageous in saying, we're going to put our data out there. And so on our performance portal, you'll see things, everything from our EMS calls for opioid abuse and overdoses to when are our next neighborhoods roads being paved so that they're satisfied with their pavement quality in their neighborhood. So it really runs across all different disciplines. So very proud of that portal. So our next destination, again, we've been in office of 3 people for the last 3 years, is to launch our Strategic Management 102 class, which would be more diving into developing measurable strategies so that we're not looking a year later and saying, oh, that's what that looked like. We want to have that front window view versus the rear view mirror so that we know where we've gone. So the mention of Olathe sampling every 3 months where their citizens and their residents are is very important. We do an annual survey of our residents, and then every 2 years we'll do on alternating years community and business and employee surveys. And we have about 30% of our performance measures are perceptional based, and we do have some aspirational measures. And so we will also be aligning our employee performance management system with performance measures. That's on the next horizon in the next 12 months. So I'm very interested in people who are using ClearPoint on how you've managed to do that. We've tried before, and I think what was really lacking was that overarching agreement on what our goals are, and then, the operational goals that we have to start aligning performance standards and the work towards that. So I'd be very acceptable to invitations to have conversations around employee performance management. And then finally, hold on here. This is an example of our landing page for our strategic plan. Again, transparency and inclusiveness and equity is very important to us as a city. So we are working on ways to make sure that our community has multiple ways to engage with us through this portal as well as through our Tempe Accelerate sessions. And so if you'd like information on our performance or our open data site, I've listed those here on the slide. And then if you were to go into YouTube and just type in Tempe Accelerates, you'll see some examples of our sessions that we've recorded. And then I also invite you to visit us at our main page at tempe.gov. And feel free to call me, email me if you have any questions that we haven't been able to follow up on today during the webinar. And we do have a poll question. What area do you need to develop more in your performance management program? And I think Veronica will take it from here.
Yep, so I'm going to try launching this poll question. It is my first time, so bear with me. Alrighty, you guys should be able to answer it in the side panel on your window. And then just as an FYI, I will send out the PowerPoint slides after this meeting. I'm also recording the meeting, so I'm going to send that out as well. I know there's some individuals who couldn't make it to the session today, so they'll be able to rewatch the webinar when they have a chance. Okay. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and close the polling, and then I'll share the results with everybody. Okay, hopefully you guys can all see the results. Looks like a lot of us are in that learning and doing kind of section. Does anybody have any additional questions for Wydell about where you guys are at in your performance program or anything about what she presented on?
Hi, this is Ed. I was just going to make a quick comment or two. Number one, I saw you do a data academy, so I'm going to follow up with you. I'd like to talk more specifically about that.
Great.
But secondly, you and also Gunnison, I think, mentioned tying performance measures to like employees and PPDs. And we actually do something here at the City of Olathe, and I'm happy to talk a little bit more about this separately if you all have an interest. But we do actually take 3 of those citizen satisfaction measures, and we identify them, and they're very broad, big measures like citizen satisfaction with the value they receive for tax dollars. But every employee has these 3 measures as a part of their performance planning document, and if the city meets certain objectives, we actually give a bonus to all of our full-time staff based off of those. So it really connects people, staff, to the performance work we're trying to do to impact these citizens. But happy to talk more if you want to about that.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that. This is Wydell. I think that's wonderful because I think people have a hard time if they think that they're not, well, I don't really influence any of these. That's been the one thing that by bringing this across all contributors of the organization, and especially through our Tempe Accelerate sessions, they've been able to make that day-to-day connection. But I love the connection then to the community and how your work contributes to that. So I appreciate that.
Well, just one other quick follow-up point. Our city manager did an actual webinar for ICMA, and it was about risk-taking. And one of the examples that he cited around smart risk-taking was actually doing this bonus program relating to the employees and their personal planning documents and how impactful that has been. But it was a bit of a risk because it's something you don't typically see in the public sector doing that sort of compensation type of approach. So that's an ICMA webinar that's out there if you're interested, but happy to talk more.
Great. I'll certainly look that up. Thank you, Ed, and contact you.
Awesome. So we're going to keep moving forward. So for Raphael, he wanted me to ask you guys a poll question to start with, and then he'll get into his presentation from here. So let me go ahead and launch this one. How confident are you that your workforce has the skills and empowerment to successfully support your strategic plan? And then after I get the results in, I will pass the baton to you, Raphael.
Okay.
Alrighty. I'll go ahead. All right, so hopefully you all can see the responses right now. And let me pass that on over. All right. Raphael, you should be able to navigate.
Okay. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Raphael Baptiste. I'm with the City of Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm excited to talk to you a little about our Strategic Planning and Performance Analytics Academy So I actually was in our strategic planning team till about 2 weeks ago when I took a promotion and moved into our economic development office. So I'm talking about a program that I ran for about 2 years, but now I'm handing off to someone new, but I'm excited to talk about it probably for the last time in the presentation mode. But a little bit about Raleigh. Raleigh's the capital city of North Carolina, population of about 540,000 people, with about $1 billion budget and about 6,500 employees. So we're a pretty good sized city, and we have a pretty new strategic plan. Our strategic plan is only about 4 years old. And that relatively young age of the strategic plan is why we created Raleigh Strategic Planning Performance Analytics Academy. So when this new city manager came in about 4 years ago and said, we need to create a strategic plan, because that's the reason the city council hired him, there was a realization that employees didn't feel empowered to be successful in a strategic plan environment, didn't feel empowered to be data-driven and action-oriented. There was also, frankly, there wasn't historically training or skill development to have employees be able to do that. So a group of folks, before I came along about 3 years ago, created a pilot called the Strategic Planning Performance Analytics Academy. And the idea was to provide high-quality training around the topics of strategic planning, performance analytics, continuous improvement, and then later budgeting to city employees. So year one, they ran a cohort of about 35, 40 employees, taught them in this stuff. They got a lot of good feedback. The city manager was really happy and said, make this bigger. That's when I got brought in, and I was given it and told, make it bigger. So we opened it up to all city employees and made it much larger. And I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like in the coming slides. So what we do is every year we teach a set of topics. We teach about a topic a month around the bigger, broad areas of performance analytics, budgeting, continuous improvement, and strategic and business planning, with the idea of saying these are things that are really important to the organization this year. So these are skills that we need to provide with our employees. And hopefully employees come out of it with the skills necessary to do those things, but also understand that they're being empowered and encouraged and told, go forth and do this. So over 3 years, covered, I think, 23 topics. You can see kind of a selected list of topics there. If you would like to see the full list, I'll be happy to provide that to you all. But it ranges from a foundational training and how do you do a departmental business plan to Budget 101, Budget Bootcamp, to behavioral economics, to logic modeling, and to variance analysis and trend analysis, which was taught during our data-driven decision-making class. So lots of classes. Before I get into a little more of the mechanics, always like to tell people about the numbers. These numbers are about 3 months old and very outdated. So the 329 employees attended, that number is about, I think, 600 now. 600 employees have attended. Total attendance has exceeded over 1,000. 23 topics, roughly about over 3 years. And in fiscal year 19 alone, we did evaluations at every session with a 96% response rate on the evaluations, and not a single person was displeased or dissatisfied with the class. So I think we can say we had a 100% satisfaction rate in fiscal year 19, which is something that we're really proud of. City of Raleigh has about 23 departments, I believe, and we have trained 100%. We have reached employees in 100% of those departments. And this is something that was really important to us because we got feedback from our assistant city managers of, hey, we need to make sure every department's at the table, that every department's hearing this message. So we worked really hard to reach out to department directors to get this information to them and get them to have their people there. And if you were to go into the standard academy class and ask people to raise their hand if they've been to an academy class in the past, about 52% of them will raise their hands, which makes us happy because that means that people are finding value in the academy and coming back, but also means every time we're reaching new employees that we were reaching in the past. So a little bit about how the Academy is run. The Academy is managed by the Budget and Management Services Department within the Strategic Planning team, which is a function of the Budget Department. There is a steering committee that supports and advises the Academy. And the way the steering committee is comprised is there is a senior level staff member from every single internal services department on that committee, which means that they can bring a perspective saying, these are the skills that we need to be talking about. These are the trainings we need to be talking about. Here are the employees we need to be touching. It's not just the budget department. And for folks who are interested in doing data or strategy academies, one of the benefits of this is no one can say, hey, we're going to go off and create our own academy because no one's including us and we think we should be there, because everyone's at the table. So it brings everyone together in a common ground. And the budget department's really the organizer, the facilitator, and the project manager. The academy topics are created at the city manager's request by looking at the strategic plan and saying, what are some trends of things that we need to be working on from the initiative perspective or the performance measure perspective. We also look at Department of Business plans. We do surveys of employees. We talk to the city manager's office, and we talk to department directors and get a feedback, and then working with the steering committee, develop a draft schedule that goes to the city manager's office for their approval. So the city manager himself is signing off on this, which I think underscores the importance of the academy to our workforce. And we have no actual budget for the academy. It is pretty much exclusively taught by city employees or subject matter experts, or occasionally, use a little bit of leftover money in the budget department budget to bring in a consultant, but pretty much done with existing resources. Sessions tend to be highly interactive. They're typically 2 hours long, and we expect instructors to do 3 interactive activities. We provide Play-Doh and candy. We give attendees all the session materials afterwards, and whenever possible, we pull examples from within the organization to show employees how we're doing things and why we do it. Here are some of the activities that we've done in our sessions. To teach performance measures, we had folks imagine that they own a bakery and create performance measures for their bakery. We've done budget balancing acts, and we've done lots of different things, but highly interactive and highly relevant activities whenever possible. We've had a lot of success. Fortunately, it's worked really well. So what some of the things that have helped us get there are, one, having executive buy-in. The city manager is a big champion for it, and every year tells the directors, tell your folks to go. And then the directors become champions for it. We had a budget director that's very supportive of it, allowed the staff on the strategy side to really have the time to do this. So that executive sponsorship and support was important. We never committed to doing things permanently. The academy was a pilot at first. It worked well, so we kept doing it. We just pilot things. We never commit long-term to anything. We try it out. If it works, and we stick with it. All our training topics are aligned to corporate business needs. So everything we're teaching is of significant importance to the organization. So we're teaching folks what is necessary for them to do their jobs well, not just additional classes. We have always put a lot of thought and effort into each presentation, so they're well done, quality, professional caliber presentations. And I think most importantly, we put the right people teaching the right classes. Back when I was in Raleigh, we talk about that either my then supervisor or myself could probably teach any of the topics, just because we had a basic level understanding of all the topics. But what we did instead was say, if we're doing a class on data integrity, we're going to bring in one of the auditors who's passionate about data integrity, who's a true expert, who really understands the theory and works in that stuff day to day and can really speak to it. So there's a high level of credibility with the instructors. A couple of lessons learned. One is if you're going to teach a complex topic or a topic that requires a lot of technology, probably have multiple instructors present. We had a couple of classes that were Excel-based, and when we did have multiple instructors, people would get really far behind, but having multiple instructors when Excel was involved allowed us to make sure everyone's getting up to speed and no one was falling behind. be willing to adapt and to change, schedule changes. We've had hurricanes that made us move, so we've learned just to be very adaptable and willing to change. And early on, we got a lot of feedback from folks that they wanted to see all the materials in one place. Even if they missed a class, they still wanted to see those resources. So that's something that we created on our OneDrive. And that's the City of Raleigh Strategic Planning and Performance Analytics Academy in a nutshell. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Hi, Raphael. It's Wydell. Thank you for your presentation. How are you measuring your success for the Academy? What specific indicators do you look at?
That is $1 million question that my city manager has asked me several times. So I'll say that the Academy has gone in different iterations. In year one, it was just about, is there interest? That was the metric we were looking for. Does people seem interested? Year two, we started looking more at attendance and the survey responses. In year three, we did that as well, really focusing on, in year three, another metric we started looking at was which employees were coming. So we started looking at the demographic, the race, ethnicity, gender, age, and years of service of our employees attending. We also started looking at divisions and job titles to make sure we were hitting a broad group of a representative part of the community, of the organization. I think moving forward, the next horizon and what the city manager has made clear he wants to see is to start talking about impact. So what process improvements, what new performance measures, what changes, what programs are coming out of people when they leave the Academy classes. I'm not 100% sure how you measure that quite yet, but I think that's the next horizon. And fortunately, someone else has to answer that really tough question. So I'm happy to dump that piece on someone else's plate. But that's our evolution. Kind of crawl, run, sprint. I think it's time to start sprinting with the metrics for the Academy.
Thank you. I can feel that pain. That's why I asked that question, because I thought, oh, maybe they've been able to answer that $1 million question. But I think your iterations of interest to attendance to survey responses and representation, and then now to impact is a great way to move that along.
Yeah, and we did create a proxy question in the survey around, do you get value of the Academy? Does this possibly impact your class, your job? And people give very favorable responses there. So that's somewhat of a proxy for outcome, but it's a soft proxy, I think.
Right.
Hello, really quickly, this is Roman Sachs, the City of El Paso. So I think we had several iterations of the training and sessions that we have. One of the challenges we did see was how do we measure success. So one of the things we did learn is the way we measure success, especially when it's giving our employees the tools that our workforce needs to be successful, is actually measuring what percentage of our employees within a year, 2 years move on to leadership roles. What percentage of those employees are utilizing those tools to deliver program or process improvements, and we can measure on a dollar scale or on an hourly scale. But you kind of utilizing that type of data for us to say, yes, it's working, and how can we improve it, as well as you've already mentioned, employee surveys, so that we keep revising and improving the way we approach our programs.
That's a really great metric.
One thing too, Rafael, so this is Julie Baldwin-Munoz. I joined the call a little bit late, also with the City of El Paso, and in kind of listening to your approach for the Academy, one of the things that I was wondering, and I think you answered this in part when you talked about kind of your year one, to present evolution, but the participants in your actual Academy, is it a combination of, folks who self-identified and then plus, because I know that you talked about how at this point, like you've attained 100% department reach, but did you also kind of reach out and target some of the participation as well to have a mix, or can you share a little bit about your approach on kind of having different layers of attendance?
Yeah, so when we've done the analysis of the makeup of who's come to the classes, there are, if I remember correctly from the Power BI, there are 3 primary job types. So people who are analysts in the department is probably the most common category of attendees. So that be, you know, a sustainability analyst, a financial analyst, a program analyst, but analyst. In the city of Raleigh, that tends to be a middle, just below mid-level position in most departments. They're the ones who are doing a lot of the measure work and the data work and whatnot. So I think that's a great group to reach. The second group that we've reached a lot is program managers, so division managers. Small level divisions to big level divisions, and that's been really successful. And then a third group is employees who are trying to move into an analyst role. So we've seen a lot of specialist people, line crew supervisors who are trying to move up. And I think those are the three groups that we've most seen in the academy.
Great. So we all would kind of reach out to those different groups and to try to get that participation or cross-section covered?
So we, in terms of reaching out, we publicize it in the employee newsletters. We send out all city emails. We put flyers around the city. I think in year one, for I was here, they did do reach out to specific employees. And then now we also have a targeted list of every employee who is directly involved in the strategic plan. So that's about 300 employees, and they get a targeted email every year. But outside of that, we haven't done specific outreach to those employee groups. A lot of it's been word of mouth. We have in our engineering department a supervisor who makes his entire team come to every class.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yep.
Alrighty, do we have any other questions? If not, I will move on to our next slide and start wrapping things up. Okay, so I'm hoping in the future I'll reach out a little bit ahead of time to ask you guys any specific questions that you want to ask the entire group that I can kind of incorporate. But Doug from Oklahoma City did want to know from everybody, and he created a survey in SurveyMonkey if anybody, what systems everybody is using to track their performance data. So they're working on their RFP, which he mentioned at the beginning, and would like to get a little bit of feedback from everybody. Heard a lot about ClearPoint and some other systems out there, so hopefully you guys will be able to take that. I will send this PowerPoint after we finish up here today. I also have my own questions that I wanted to add in here. I'm hoping to create some sort of a document sharing area for us. So if anybody knows any specific tools to do that, so something with a blog so we can maybe ask questions to each other and we don't have to group email or do anything like that, or we can house the webinars and different things like that. I would love to know if anybody has any free tools that they use to share stuff, so whether it's a SharePoint site or something like that. Also, this is more on a little bit of a fun topic. I just named this group Performance Management Team. I know it's not the most exciting and extravagant name out there, but if anybody has any ideas of really cool names that they would like to label our group, I'd love to hear them, and then I can build a survey and send it out, and we can rank different names for the whole group. I'm sure we all get a lot of emails labeled performance management, so something to help kind of differentiate us just a little bit so they don't get lost in our email boxes. And then just for the next performance meeting, like I mentioned, I'm thinking these will be quarterly, so I'm hoping to set that up in kind of mid-September. Also, I'll try to send you guys out if quarterly doesn't work and semi-annual is better, definitely let me know. Our next topic, based on all of the ranking that we did, is continuous improvement and how to do it, methodology on project management. So there's a few different questions that I was kind of brainstorming and thinking about with regards to continuous improvement, and then the presenters, so those of you who agreed to kind of talk about that topic were Barb, Roman, and Julie. So we look forward to kind of reaching out and talking with you guys and getting to hear your feedback on continuous improvement. I know I heard a little bit about Baldridge at the beginning. I know here at the county we're kind of talking about that as well, so it'd really be exciting to hear what you all are doing on that. With that being said, this is our contact information. Myself, my coworker Angela, and my boss Maria, and That's us down at the bottom, just trying to give a little shout out, put some faces to names. And then if there aren't any other questions, thank you all for participating in this group today, and I'm really excited to move forward with you guys.